Hi, my name is John, and today I'll be going through how you can structure introductions in English essays. Let's get into it.
Bing's Academy, where we learn and grow.
Introductions are very tricky and can be a strange beast to write, especially if you're never taught to properly write them from the get-go. Some teachers believe that it's totally fine as long as your body paragraphs are good, while some other teachers, on the other hand, think that introductions set the tone for what you can expect in the later part of the essay. Most markers fall somewhere in between the spectrum. And now today, I'm going to share 3 things about what intros are very important for and how you can structure a really good introduction, especially in high school English essays. Intros do 3 things. The first thing is they set the tone of what you can expect in the essay. The second thing is they tell you the type of preparation or holes and weaknesses that you have left behind. And lastly, they will give you an impression of your writing style to the actual marker. Intros should actually mean little to nothing, but to actual markers, it does mean quite a lot. And the reason why is because teachers often have to mark hundreds, not if even thousands of essays throughout the school year. So if you're writing an essay on the same topic, based on the introduction already, they probably have a really good idea of which ballpark mark that you actually fall into. Are you in the A range, B range, or even the C range? Just from the intro, as it sets the tone on the level of sophistication and type of writing that you actually have. It is therefore crucial that you leave no stone unturned when you're actually structuring your essay. So when you're writing an introduction, you have to take notice of these key elements and also incorporate them. You have to include the text type, the purpose of why you're writing it, a social critique, whether it be on society, and then relate it back to the question, the year and dates in which the texts were composed, as well as the meaning and the main argument that you're actually having, namely the thesis. It is the place where you are allowed and given permission to make sweeping statements based on the books that you are about to explore and how you're going to address that question without actually having to back it up. And the reason why is because you're going to back it up in your body paragraphs. So when you say a point in your introduction, you don't actually have to show evidence or show much proof to support that, to really convey that. The introduction gives you that degree of flexibility that body paragraphs don't let. A good intro, therefore, can take up to about half a page. A bad intro can be even shorter, which is about a quarter to, or even less than a page. Or even if you go over a page, it's quite obvious to the marker and to the teacher that you're actually fluffing, and you have absolutely no idea how to actually answer the question because the intro is so long or too short. I think a good sweet spot is about half a page, but it really does depend on the size of your writing. And personally, for reference, I write quite small. I will now include a sample introduction that I have written earlier and break that down and help explain how you can structure it in your own respective essay questions. Let's say the question was individuals have to interact with each other, otherwise they will be lost or in trouble. Discuss. The concept of personal interaction is that this is the part that leads into the thesis. It cannot be determined in a single, simple dialogue between people. They are only indications that display where the relationship is going or from where it has arrived from. This is going to be the thesis or the main argument that I will lean on to throughout the actual essay. Personal interaction goes beyond dialogue between individuals, as it is only the reflection of relationships that in turn grow and change over time. This idea of relationships that are always changing is shown in both Pendleton Ward's 2010 animation Adventure Time and J.K. Rowling's 2000 fantasy novel Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. This is where I introduce the 2 texts, as well as introduce who has composed them and what date they were actually created in. Through this, it is evident that animation, the text type and the first text that I'll be talking about, gives the producer a degree of freedom, which is how the text type works and functions, in which Finn and Jake's intricate relationship to the audience is conveyed by their actions and adventures, which is the technique. It is especially evident to the inconsistency of relationships when such a message is as equally relevant to another non-fiction story about a wizard and his best friend in a magical school. This is the second text of Harry Potter. Who has yet to find and survive different tribulations that he has to encounter. As you can see, it clearly shows the sequential nature of how you can actually structure an introduction by yourself. So you want to first start off with a general comment on the question. You want to then introduce your thesis, so something that you will repeatedly come back to and refer to. It's kind of like the theme of the actual essay, and something that you can base all of your points around and arguments on as well. You want to then introduce your texts, introduce their text types, if it's a novel, animation, when it was composed, and who has actually created them itself. You want to also comment on how this context and what they write about is still relevant in today's society, especially if the composers and writers are still alive. You want to then have a brief reference to the narratives of the actual text itself, what the plot is about, very short snippet, and how that answers the question that you're going to be answering. In conclusion, I think that is a general makeup of an introduction, especially in the senior aspects of high school, and it can only be more advanced and junior depending on which level you are at currently. If you want another example of an introduction that I can break down, especially for primary school, just let me know in the comments below or send me a message and I'll love to actually help you out on that. But I think that's everything. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.